Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It depends on where you are watching us from. We are glad to have you join us for today's Sedat HR Digest, which is proudly brought to you by Sedat Consult. Sedat Consult, your trusted HR partner. I'm your host for today's episode, and my name is Evelyn Irajwa Jumbo. Kindly drop your name and your location of wherever you are, and we will surely acknowledge your presence and appreciate you. Thank you for that. You can also like, share with your friends and colleagues and your bosses as well. They all need this information, and I'm sure it's going to make a lot of impact in their lives. So, today we are going to have a very important conversation, something every professional must learn to embrace. In a rapidly evolving world of work, what worked for us yesterday may not necessarily work tomorrow. Technology is changing, industries are evolving, and expectations placed on professionals continue to shift every day. This is why the ability to unlearn, relearn, and reinvent ourselves has become so important to our career growth and relevance. It is therefore my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today. She's phenomenal, she's beautiful, and she's called Fafa Behu. Let me read her profile to you as to get to know who she is. So, okay. So Fafa Beho is a dynamic HR practitioner in media and communications with strong leadership experience across radio, television, advertising, and digital platforms. She also has experience working in the public service, consultancy, as well as garnered experience in the salt, mining, and shipping. Throughout her career, she has shaped strategy, driven growth, strengthened workplace culture, and led initiatives such as employee assistance programs, the establishment of a health insurance scheme, training performance management, and human resource information system, HRIS. She's passionate about people development. Fafa designs staff training programs. She builds HR policies, and mentors young professionals across industries, including health, entertainment, and manufacturing. She has previously volunteered with the Komla Jumo Foundation, a recipient of an award for leadership and recognition as the best mentee in the Irene Asare Talo HR Mentorship Program 2019. It is therefore my pleasure to introduce her to you as she takes us through the topic on learning, relearning, and reinventing career adaptability. Shall we all welcome Ms. Fafa Beho? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I must say that it's a great honor to be here, and I look forward to a very interesting and educational session. So,
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome.
thank you very much. So, I will go right on ahead with the presentation. All right. Thank you very much. It is indeed a pleasure for me that we are all here together to learn. Let me say that I am not presenting myself as the all knowing subject matter expert on this topic. However, I just less like to share a few insights, which I would believe will be good learning for all of us, and hopefully it will be a turning point for someone who is still navigating through the HR profession, or for others who are not in HR, navigating their way through their own profession. Our topic today is unlearning, relearning, and reinventing ourselves through career adaptability. In order for us to begin on the right context, I'd like to put forward these two quotes. The first quote is from Alvin Toffler. Alvin Toffler is an American businessman and writer. Actually, he's deceased now, but he started writing from 1970. And if you look him up on the Google search, you will see a lot of information about him. He is considered to be one of the most outstanding futurists, and he's one of those who predicted the use of technology in the future and how it could change the world, how it could change the world of work and life in general. His quote is that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Very important. The second quote I want us to look at is greatly attributed to Daniel J. Boston, who was a historian and also the 12th librarian in the US Congress. Even though this quote is attributed to him a lot of the time, there are various quotes that we have seen or heard within our environments. He says that the greatest obstacle to learning is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. A lot of the time we say, he who knows not and knows that he knows not is a dash. I leave that for us to complete, but those who know the quote know the ending of that. What are these quotes saying? These quotes talk about the fact that continuous learning is important and that we cannot always claim to know everything. And the only way for us to improve ourselves is to continuously learn, stop things that we are not able to use as we move along, and pick up new habits that are relevant to the current times. So we come to the idea of career adaptability. Let me say that the world of work is changing faster than any other time in history. Honestly, it is. In fact, I would say that for those who are within the Gen X generation, we have been from the time of no technology to analog to now this era of moving from, if you like, analog TVs to digital TVs or smart TVs, from no phones to hand handsets that were landlines that have evolved now to mobile phones, phones that even have cameras, and phones that you can use to do so many things. Record. In the past, you'd have to have your phone and then a recorder, but now you can use your phone for so many things. So the Gen X generation has seen a lot of it, from VHS tapes, the cassette tapes, ghetto blasters, to iPods, to headphones, and we've seen so much technology in our time that those, especially from the maybe latter part of the millennials to the Gen Zs and even Gen Alphas, haven't experienced a lot of these technologies. Now we see that there's a lot of artificial intelligence, there's digital transformation, there's automation, we have changing customer expectations, there's a lot of economic uncertainty in the workplace, there's remote work after we experienced COVID, especially. Even prior to COVID, there were channels that we could use. For example, there was Skype. Some people were using a Hotmail. There was the chat. You could use that. But over time now, then Zoom emerged. And then we had an advanced form of Google. And you have even other platforms, like even what we're using now, StreamYard. And all this is because we saw during COVID that you can work remotely and use these other platforms and still be efficient. There's also global competition now. The world has become so close. People are taking up global rules. So you're in Ghana and your employer is in the US. You're working with different time zones. And organizations now, apart from being physically located in different countries, have employees who are working remotely and still a part of the organization. Skills that may have been useful 5 years ago may no longer be necessarily sufficient today. So, whatever experience you have at every point in time may not necessarily be enough. Today's competitive advantage lies in the ability of professionals to adapt continuously. Career adaptability, therefore, has become one of the most important and professional competencies for every employee, manager, executive, and employer. Career adaptability is not about changing jobs constantly. It is about remaining valuable irrespective of where you are, irrespective of your industry. And it requires these three key things: unlearning, relearning, and the ultimate, which is reinventing oneself. So, in order for us to have career adaptability, we should be versatile. So, ask yourself, am I versatile? Always be ready to readjust yourself to different situations, different people, and different projects, different tasks. Are you open minded? Open mindedness is necessary. You must be aware of new things that are around you. You must be willing to learn the good new things and not the bad new things. Even if you want to know about the bad things, it is knowledge that you will use to educate yourself about why you wouldn't go for those things. And you must be willing to change with the time, which requires that you should be flexible and also get rid of habits that may not be useful for the current times that you are trying to adjust yourself to. These are very important in career adaptability. So, we talk about some barriers to adaptability in general, even though we narrow down to our career. Fear. Fear is a major barrier. Fear is a major obstacle for us to be adaptable. We second guess ourselves because we are looking at something new that we're not familiar with. We are afraid of failing. We are afraid to make a mistake because people may laugh at us. We are afraid of the unknown. And when we have a mindset that is fixed, a mindset that tells us that we cannot do it, then that also hinders us. Sometimes there are people who do not also have interest in learning new things. They just feel, well, it's not for me, I don't need it, I can do without it. A lack of interest, a lack of curiosity, no desire whatsoever, no hunger for new knowledge can also hinder somebody from learning new things. A lot of the time, too, we are comfortable. We prefer to be in what we know as our comfort zone. Well, this is how we do it all the time. So I'm comfortable with this. I'm all right with it. If it's not broke, there's no need to fix it. So I don't need to change. And we just prefer that we continue in that line whilst we see other companies changing. With bureaucracy, there's a lot of red tape, fixed structures. You see, there's a lot in certain organizations that are so used to doing things in that fixed process that they're just not changing with the times. And one of the barriers to which is the most important for me is also poor leadership. An organization or a group of people is as good as their leadership. If you have a leader or you have leadership or you have not I'm not talking about management per se, but I'm talking about leaders. This could be people at any level, okay, that encourage. That helps a lot. But if you meet the opposite of that, that becomes an obstacle that prevents team members, that prevents workers from doing new things, that do not challenge people or provide the enabling environment for you to be versatile, for you to challenge yourself. That does not provide the environment for you to be free. to try out things and make mistakes and learn from them, then you are not able to be adaptable. Leadership that micromanages, leadership that does not put trust in the people and allow the people to take initiatives and even reward them or commend them for such initiatives also can lead to lack of adaptability in organizations, in groups, and in the society, in families, everywhere. So these are some barriers to adaptability. But why do we feel that career adaptability is so important? The benefits are that you will respond effectively to change. You are not static, but you become dynamic. When you see that there is a need for you to do things differently in order to achieve even better results and impact, that is necessary for career adaptability. We must learn new technology. Now we have AI. These things help you to do things faster and you can do more. And you then develop new competencies. These competencies will set you apart from others and you become somebody who can solve emerging problems. Sometimes you can even preempt the problem and predict them. In HR, we are being trained now to be more of preemptive instead of reactive. Then we must also live during times of uncertainty. You can only do this if you have career adaptability. And it helps you to remain valuable. It helps you to remain relevant. And from there, you create new opportunities, new solutions that people need that they didn't even know could be possible. And this relevance, the relevance is that now there's a lot of change when you work with technology, as you can see. Today, somebody is holding iPhone 17, and then tomorrow there's iPhone 17 Pro Max. You are holding the latest Samsung, tomorrow there's a new model out. You are driving the latest car, tomorrow there's a new one out. You are using the latest, maybe, computer, and there's a new one out. And it's just changing and changing and changing. All the time, there is change. Artificial intelligence forces us to have career adaptability. Now, before, if you needed graphic work done, you have to look for a graphic designer. But now with AI, you can give it a detailed prompt and generate your own images, which you can use as flyers for events such as these. And there's global competition. And for us in Africa, we have to probably work twice as hard, if not three times, to meet up with the global standards that we are in competition with. And our customers also have changing expectations. So every time we have to move. Then you have economic uncertainty and new business models. So all these things make it really important for us to have career adaptability. What are the strategies for becoming more career adaptable? You have to try and learn a new skill every quarter. Try and read at least one professional book a month if you can. Some of the books that you can even look for are prominent Ghanaian HR authors and their work, like former president of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana, Dr. Edward Kwapong. He wrote a book about thought leadership, and the book is called HR Thought Leadership. It highlights 4 decades of his practice and institutional results, okay, and even includes information on HR analytics. You have Dr. Ellen Hagan, who has also written a book about soft skills and what gives one job seeker an edge over another. You have Kwejo Asaribede Akun, who has also written professional skills in human resource management. Dr. Stella Adenim Boating, who wrote 100 Career Nuggets, keeping it punchy. And you have others like our own CEO, Patricia Abena-Kisi, people like Andrew Skobina, Evans Kofi, and so many others who have written articles about HR, the profession, and things that we have to learn. So we must try and look for some of these books and read. You also have to take online courses. There are free courses that you can take on LinkedIn, Coursera, and other platforms which can educate you on your profession or other skills. Okay, and in addition, you can learn about AI and use platforms such as ChatGPT, Claude. There's also Canva. You can use Adobe, Firefly, Midjourney. Some of these help you to also generate images, and sometimes it depends on the good prompt you give to help you to generate some of this information that is relevant for you to learn. You can also seek feedback regularly from people you work with and your superiors. You must be curious and ask questions. You must be open minded and be ready to take feedback. Be willing to separate whatever chaff somebody might say to you and fish out the substance and ask yourself how you can use that to improve. Also, you must volunteer for challenging assignments. Sometimes there are bits and pieces of tasks that people do not want to do and they don't want to get their hands dirty. You should go for those because sometimes that is where you will shine. That is where people will actually see, and even you will realize that you have skills that you never knew you possessed. You should also develop cross-functional experience. So apart from just being in HR, sometimes you should try to learn about the industry you are in and the departments within your organization or in other organizations in different industries to know what they do and embrace technology, be open minded to it. You must network also intentionally. So when you hear of SEDAT HR conference happening, like there was one at Labadi on the 30th and 31st of July, you attend those conferences and others. When you hear of small HR programs happening here and there, try and get into other HR networks, and it helps you to learn from others because there are some experiences you may not ever face, but people will teach you about theirs. And then you can coach others because in coaching, you also learn. So it's a give and take relationship. Or you can be a mentor or a mentee to someone, and you also learn a lot from those relationships and also interacting with your peers. So the three deliberate actions for one to ultimately achieve career adaptability are unlearning, stopping the old way of thinking or doing things because a better or more effective way now exists. Relearning, learn something again. You may have to sometimes learn something you knew already again or learn the upgraded version of what you knew and then reinventing. This era of reinventing is the total transformation of bringing everything together. You bring all you have learned from unlearning and relearning into now creating value and advancing your career. So there are many examples of unlearning. So instead of being someone who micromanages, you should allow people to work. Make sure KPIs are clear, people know what they are supposed to do, and let them deliver. Instead of using paper files, you can have digital records. You can have a you can give people continuous feedback instead of waiting when you set KPIs till the whole year has ended before you give them the feedback. Give them constant feedback there and then, and let people work together cross functionally. Here are some areas that you can also learn depending on your interests: leadership, digital literacy, communication, financial literacy, all of them. Cybersecurity is also one that is becoming really important for a lot of people to study. So these are areas that you can look at. In reinventing, this is the highest level of adaptability. You create greater value. You turn yourself into something else. It means that you have to change your mindset. You must change your identity. You must change your value proposition. Okay. Change how people experience you. They experience your leadership. You have to, in that sense, learn a skill or new skills that are relevant to your profession that set you apart from others. So if you are an accountant and you don't know data analytics, for example, now maybe you have to learn that. As an HR professional, it's the same thing. Maybe you are just doing the mundane filing and administrative kind of things, because sometimes people confuse HR with that. But you can go into the area of strategy. You can go into the area of planning. Okay. A manager can also become a coach for others. And a traditional salesperson can become a customer experience specialist. So these are just areas of reinvention. It requires a lot of courage for you to take risks. Um, do not be afraid of the consequences. Do not be afraid to fail. They say every time you fail shows you how you should not do something. And if you do not fail, how will you know the right way to go about it? And you must remain curious. You must be deaf to all the naysayers. Once you believe in what you are trying to do, you can achieve it. Now you have professionals who have achieved reinvention. Now I could have used people in maybe strict professional sense, but I wanted to use something that we can all relate to, and most of the time, if it's not sports, it's music. And I picked Tina Turner as somebody who, for me, as a Gen X, has embodied reinvention. She initially was a singer in the 60s and 70s, but by the 80s, she reinvented herself. She faced a lot of violence in her marriage and she came out of it, changed her genre of music, and she became a big hit in the 80s and a legend at that. Then you have Michael Jackson. We all know Michael Jackson, how he started off really young at the age of 5 with the Jackson 5. They have big hits like ABC, 1, 2, 3. They sang with Motown Records, and he eventually broke out on his own and came out with music like Thriller and Bad, using technology. When he did Smooth Criminal and even Thriller, he used a lot of effects to make his music change. And he was the one who started this whole idea of music videos, making them into like film, and it was a big hit at the time. Somebody I have seen is Wendy Shea, who has also reinvented herself, looking at what she was coming in as a replacement for Ebony, and now comes to this point where she's reinvented herself from singing about love and sexy, raunchy songs, has turned herself into someone who sings about issues, women's issues, spirituality, national issues. She has also reinvented herself. And of course, our own Patricia Abnakisi, even though an HR professional, has gone into other areas where she even has to do business development, training. She has been part of industry, impacting young people for over 20 decades, reinventing herself all the time to remain relevant, organizing conferences, which probably when she started she wasn't doing, and having the use of technology today to even organize an online session like this to educate professionals. And so let us understand that the future belongs to those who embrace transformation and technology and who will always continuously acquire knowledge and learn and reinvent ourselves to remain relevant and valuable in the workplace. Thank you very much.
So much. This is so insightful and interesting. Before we go on our break, let me just quickly acknowledge those our audience who have been able to join us online. We are so grateful to have you. So I have Ki Abayete. Ki Abayete is my friend. You are welcome. She's from Ofanko. And then we have Yadankwa. She says she's joining from the UK, Colesta. I hope I got it right. And then we have Timothy Kakari. He said, my Oga HR Fafa in the house. Fafa, do you know him?
Yeah, yeah,
And then we
Dankwa is
have
my counsel and Timothy is my
your
boss.
cousin. Okay, wow,
Yeah,
good to have you all. Thank you so
yeah,
much. And then we have Abna Ruti. She's also watching from Accra,
yes,
Ghana. Thank
yeah, one of
you.
my,
Thank you,
yeah.
Abna.
Hello,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Okay. And then we have Ekia Zonam. She's also joining from Ghana. Thank you, Ekia. And then we have Mayu, also from Ghana,
Yes, my
Olivia
yes,
from Ghana, and then
my,
Kelvin from Kumasi.
oh.
And Olivia Dates Bodies is also clapping. She's sending fire emojis and clapping emojis.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
wearing
you all
something she
so
made
much.
for me. I'm wearing something she made for
Oh,
me.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
Intama
okay.
design. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we'll go on a short break. And then when we come back, kindly put your questions in the comment sections, and I'll be very happy to read them to Fafa as she continues to explain them to us. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry. Rita also says she's watching from Kumasi. Thank you, Rachel, for joining. We are grateful to have you here. So, Sadat Consult has an upcoming program. It's happening in in person, and it says that it's the time of the year again. Join industry leaders, forward-thinking entrepreneurs, and HR professionals at the Sadat Business and HR Summit, Kumasi edition, for a powerful day of insight, networking, and transformation. The topic is building sustainable and competitive business through people, innovation, and leadership. There's an early bird, which is going for in person 700 cedis, virtual is 550 Ghana cedis. It says that early bird ends on the 31st of August 2026. Don't miss out. You don't want to miss out on this. You know, so that consult brings in interesting and insightful topics, and you'll be glad to join. And so you can secure a spot by being part of the Future Business and HR in Ghana. There is a link in that. And Sadat Summit 2026 Business Growth is going to happen live in Kumasi. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, Winifred Tama says very educative. I can't wait to read your questions for Fafa to help us with that. Okay. While we wait for questions, I have some few things to ask. You spoke about mindset. I think in one of your presentations, you identify fear and then mindset and comfort zones and pure leadership as barriers to career adaptability. I would like to find out which of these do you consider very dangerous in today's workplace and then why? Mhm.
Wow. Okay. I okay. This is a difficult question, but what I will say is this: at the end of the day, your mindset is for me the most dangerous. So you have to, that is the top for me. What you believe about yourself, what you think, what you believe your capabilities are, that will stop you. You will always have people whispering things to you, telling you how you are this way and you are that way. I don't think you can do this. I don't think you can do that. Like I said, it is important to separate what is not useful and take the useful feedback. But it is really only you, most importantly, to be self aware and emotionally intelligent enough to know really what your capabilities are and what your capabilities aren't. And when you know what you are good at and what you are not good at, that will help you identify the direction in which you should go in order to grow. Also, and it's important for me, is leadership again. Now, the leadership, I don't want to really equate it with managers, but people you work with, and especially seniors, also can be an influence upon you. So, in being self aware, you will eventually get to identify those who are a good influence in your life and in your career and those who aren't. And so just understand that along the way, you may not have the same vision or outlook with somebody else. And just accept that people come into your life for a period and then they are out because they don't fit into your vision. and where you want to get
Yeah.
to in order to reinvent
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So those two are really critical for me. But ultimately, you need to
Mm-hmm.
know yourself. If you know yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and that takes a while, so you probably be discovering yourself from especially your teens into your mid 20s. But really, after some time, you really understand the kind of person you are, what your strengths are, and then build on that to be relevant. So that's what I'll say about that. The mindset for me is the most powerful, and then leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because everything starts from the mind. If the mindset is in a correct shape, that means every other thing would follow. But
Exactly.
there is the one time that I heard someone made some complaints about his workplace, and let me say he is more of like a Gen Z and is working with an older person who is not a Gen Z. And this guy carries so much passion and zeal and technology inclined and all. So he's finding it difficult to adapt to what the boss already knows. So it's like whatever he contributes or he wants to participate in, the boss is kind of, giving him that cold shoulders or what do you know? Who are you? So I would like to find out how can the Gen Z blend with leadership who already have their policies and things going on for them, and you are coming in as a fresh mind, the zeal, the passion, the knowledge and everything. How can we blend that together?
Wow. Another difficult question. It is a clash of generations and a
Mhm.
clash of cultures. But
Yeah.
I think that organizations need to evolve and, in a way, understand the Gen Z group who are looking for more flexible work. And the Gen Z group, though, will also have to readjust a little bit. But because there is technology, you see that you can still do a lot of things without being physically even present in the workplace. And I bet you
Yeah.
there are even some Gen X people who prefer the flexible work than every day
Right.
getting up, going through the traffic, getting to work. Just physically being there doesn't necessarily mean you are doing so much work. So, what I'll say is that open mindedness is really important. Set the KPIs and the necessary deliverables. Put trust in the person. And if they don't meet those deliverables, whether they are physically present or not, then you have to do the needful. You sit them down, have a conversation with them. If they are not changing, then you have to let them go. If you are Gen
Right.
Z and you are in the environment where you see that things are not working, how about you build the cloud first? Sometimes do what your bosses want. Build the trust. Show them that
Okay.
you can deliver. When that trust has been built and you are now asking for flexible time away, they will agree. The reason why a lot of leaders or managers may not also be too willing to accept the flexible work and allow all this working remotely is because people sometimes do not make themselves accessible when they are away. You call them and they are not reachable. You send emails, they don't respond. You call, you can't get them. Eventually, when they pick the phone, they sound like they've been sleeping. Oh, hello, good afternoon. Yes, it's terrible. So people
Yeah.
must be professionals. They must build the
Mhm.
trust. Before your manager comes chasing you, send whatever he needs. If you do that ahead and you give updates regularly, they will not feel that they have to come after you because you already, they know you will deliver. They trust you. And so
Yes.
the cultures
Yes.
must blend. You must manage up, whether the Gen Zs like it or not, to a larger extent, they have to manage up. Your boss wants something a certain way, you have to deliver on that. When you do, you have
Mm.
clout to now be asking for certain considerations, and you can get them when you see that your boss really trusts in you, and your boss will even defend you to the hilt the day you are not able
Yeah.
to deliver on something because they know that but for maybe a
Mm.
certain exigency you would have delivered. So that's my advice to both of
Yes.
the generations. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's a good advice. I mean, we should be able to trust because people build on integrity. It is how
Exactly.
far they can trust you is when you say something or demand for something is when they will do it for you. You can't
Yes.
just demand anything when there's no trust. That's good advice. Thank you so much. And Winifred said, very educative. Thank you, Winifred. And Kia Baata said, I'm glad I joined in. I'll be reinventing. I made some good notes and thanks. You're welcome. Thank you, Ki, for that. And she has a question. She says that it's oftentimes you try to understand people as you reinvent. How do you pull people along so they do not drain your energy, especially if you are the personality type, doing your things with integrity and doing it right without offending anyone? Please, should I come again with her question?
Yes, I would like you to read that again,
She
please.
says that my question is oftentimes you try to understand people as you reinvent. How do you pull people along so they do not drain your energy, especially if you have the personality type of doing your things with integrity and doing it right without anyone, without offending anyone? Uh, Probably she is talking about she having a personality of an integrity. She has an integrity. So she has all the energy in putting all the work and doing the right thing. Maybe, for example, when she comes to work, she wants to write 8 a.m. But somebody will come late and still want to write 7:30 a.m. So she's
Yeah.
asking, how can you pull such people along without you offending them in the course of the whole process?
Well, I would say that um, you have to accept the fact that sometimes you will offend, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to stand by what you believe in when necessary. Uh,
Yeah.
it's about engagement. So HR must engage employees to make them understand why certain things need to be done in the workplace and why integrity is so important. First of all, we claim to be Christians, and yet we keep doing all the small wrong things that we shouldn't be doing. And the same time, we say we worship God and we are the best Christians. That's the first thing. Two, we exist in organizations with rules. And so we have to show the integrity. Sometimes when you notice some of these types of behavior, you have to just tell people, but you must do it in a respectful way for them to understand why it has to be done this way. Let me give an
Yeah.
example because you use this clocking
Okay.
thing. So, why do
Yes.
people tell lies about clocking in? They are telling lies about clocking in because they don't want to be maybe deducted, because some organizations do that. When you are late, or you are late for maybe a number of times in a week, or you don't clock in at all, because some people come to work and out of pride they don't want to clock in too, or they don't want to fill an attendance book, so they just walk in, walk out, and they don't care.
Mm,
But
mm,
you must make people understand that it's not even just about that per se. Sometimes there have been situations where there's been maybe even a fire or an accident or a theft, and you
mm-hmm.
need to know where people were at certain times. When you clock in, you have an alibi for something that
Yeah.
saves you that you were not here at this time, but you were at work or you were here or you were there. So it's good to
Mm,
tell the truth. There was a time I studied outside, and society has a lot to do with that. I went to study outside for a year. I realized that those of us Africans who were late to class always had to come up with some kind of story about why we were late. This was like almost 30 years ago. Now, um, you look at the Europeans, they will come into class late. And when they are asked, why are you late? They say, oh, I overslept. Oh, I was tired and I didn't check the time. And nothing is done to them. Nothing is done to them. So I realized that what's the whole point of telling lies? And then after that, as a Catholic, I have to go to confession and go and tell the priest that I told the lie and all these things. So why don't you make life easier for yourself by telling the truth? Because when you tell the truth, then you will just see that something will happen, and then that truth will save you. One
Yeah.
of my employers, and made it very clear as a CEO that anytime anybody came for the interview, he always made it very clear that it is important for you to tell the truth. The moment you lie, he'll fire you just because you lied. He wasn't even so interested about whether you had all the best skills or you were the most
Or not.
intelligent. He was more interested in if you were truthful. So if you know you made a
Yes.
mistake and you came up yourself to say, please, I did this, give me the opportunity to correct my mistake. He liked that. And he would not fire such people. And he would never talk about what you did. But if you were discovered to have lied, or you were discovered to have made a mistake and you hid it, every day he'll talk about it. He'll talk about it until one day he decides that, look, what's the process for us to let the person go? Because I can't trust this person with my business. So
Yes. Mhm.
it is important to engage people to understand the need to tell the truth at all times. And you can voice out your opinions, voice out your professional advice, and even document it. It must be respectfully done, tactfully done. And I think that for managers who are open minded, leaders who are willing to accept feedback and correction, you will go far. And it's very important for people who don't take feedback to reinvent themselves and accept feedback from others and correction. And so being a person of integrity, being truthful are really critical. Thank you.
Wow. 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 This is so good. Abate, I hope your question has been answered. And one of the key things that you said that I personally am taking home is the fact that offense is part of the workplace. It is natural or normal to offend people. But as you said, we have to approach it wisely and let people know why you are insisting on certain rules and regulations. And the fact that we also have to make documents. I realize a lot of us, Ghanaians especially in the work, we don't like documenting our work. So there is no
Yeah.
what do you call it? There is no
There's no
no,
trail
nothing to
of
show for,
anything. Yes.
no of
Ah,
anything that you've
yes.
done. Yeah, it's just word of
Yes.
mouth, and we can believe you or not. So it's very important that we try to document our progress. And Niamatu Mahama says, "My mentor, well done, madam. Thank you so much." And then we have Mavis Apia from Ghana and Ki
Oh,
Abayata again. She says that, how do you deal with lackadaisical people at the workplace without offending anyone? I think it still comes back to how you
wow.
the question she asked earlier.
Yes.
So I don't know if you have something else to add on to that.
Let me say this. You have to be very straightforward with people. We cannot play around in the workplace. And
Mm-hmm.
you especially when there are deliverables and results that are required, it is important for KPIs to be set for people. Sit with them, set the KPIs, let them understand what it requires. Let them tell you that I can't do this and I can't do that. But once it has been agreed that these are the tasks that have to be completed because we are looking for XYZ results, because we want to impact, you can't be lackadaisical. And
Yes.
if you are lackadaisical, you will eventually be dealt with. As HR people, we must learn to have tough conversations with people, with our colleagues, with our bosses, and the business owners, the employers. It's important. And as for me, I don't mind offending you because I have to tell you that. And those who know me know that I'll tell you straight.
No, it's guys,
Stay with my
the work
boss. Yes.
must go on.
Yes. And at the end of the day, it's about how you even come out of this. So what I'll say is that you will have to offend lackadaisical people. Sometimes you have to tell them that, look, your attitude is inimical to the business. We are not going to make progress if you continue this way. You have to change or you have to be put on a PIP. And eventually, if you keep on this way, you have to go. Or you exit yourself. If you know you cannot do the work, then you have to go and let somebody else who is more serious come in. And if the person is offended and keeps saying this, all you have to do is find another time when the person is in a good mood to sit with them and be like, oh, my colleague, The last time I said this thing to you, I see you were really offended by it. I am sorry that you're offended. However, A, B, C, and D are the reasons why we need to go. Let them have an understanding that look, the business is aiming for X amount of money this year because that is the bottom
Yeah.
line. If we don't
Mm-hmm.
achieve this, we are going to lose this amount of deals, this amount of clients. We'll have to let a number of people go. This is how you impact the value chain. So if you are a weak
Yeah.
link in the value chain, then we are not going to achieve our targets. And then HR will have to take the decision to let people go and you will be the first. You have to make the
Yes.
person understand. So be ready to offend, but find a way to build the bridge back with that person, so that in the end, even though they were offended, they will understand why you have told them that. So you can't be an HR person and always trying to be nice. You
Nice.
need to be truthful. You need to be honest. You don't have to always embellish things. We are most of the time viewed as people who are supposed to be mothers and fathers and pampering people and babying people. That is not what HR is about. The business is bottom line. And if the business doesn't thrive, because the people are the ones who make the business thrive, the employees, the workers, then the business will collapse. So
Yeah.
everybody needs to play their role in the value chain. So be ready
Mm.
for the disagreements, the fights. But the important thing is that you should get closer to each other after that misunderstanding. It shouldn't draw you away from your colleagues. You should
Yeah.
rather
Away.
come back together because you have
Mm-hmm.
a common goal that you are trying to achieve.
Right. Exactly. Yes. There's a common goal. So that should always drive us to want to be best or do best in our various workplaces. That's a good
Exactly.
one. I like it. I like it. Thank you so much. Stanley Nogopo MBA says that great insight, very inspirational indeed. Thank you. Said Stan from South Africa.
Wow. Thank you.
Yes. And then
Thank
we
you.
have Key again. She says, well answered. Thank you so much for the advice. You're welcome, Key. Please be reminded to also like and share the link on our various platforms. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and everywhere you find said that, kindly share and follow us. Thank you so much. So we will be wrapping up soon. Our time is almost up. Let me just quickly read the upcoming summits in Kumasi. So, SEDAT Business and HR Summit 2026, Kumasi edition. Theme is building, please, I'm coming. Building sustainable and competitive businesses through people, innovation, and leadership. It will be happening in Micklin Hotel, Kumasi, on the 29th of October 2026, 8 a.m. prompt. 8 a.m. prompt, please. If you are interested, be an early bird for 700 Ghana cedis in person. Virtual is going for 550 Ghana cedis. And then the standard fee is 800 Ghana cedis. It says that early bird ticket sales ends on the 31st of August 2026. People, you don't want to miss this. You know what SEDAT has done so far. They have their records and how they've been impactful to the HR, the human resources body. So kindly be part of it, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from that. Okay, so in this session, I believe we've all been challenged to examine our current mindset, identify practices that may no longer serve us. So let us embrace continuous learning. It's very important that we embrace continuous learning. Learning is not static, it's dynamic, and every day we learn. There are new things that we need to learn. So that we can also consider how we can reinvent ourselves to remain relevant and valuable in today's workplace. You don't want to miss out on it. You want to stay relevant and valuable at the workplace. So there's continuous learning that we need to do. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining. We are grateful. We hope to see you next time, Sunday at 4 p.m. And I'm sure there will be more insightful topics to bring your way. Thank you all so much and have a good evening to everyone who joined. We are grateful. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you all so much. That's something that I'm missing. Okay. All right. Bye.